Chapter 5499. Cheng Zixiao didn't get angry. He didn't expect there to be such an agreement. He even wondered why Tangwa didn't tell him this. After thinking about it, why would she tell him? Then can I take this quarters? Yun Xiaolian sneered in her heart. This Cheng family really didn't have any good people. It was a little strange. Why did she think that Cheng Zixiao was different from Cheng Zifeng and was a good person? She really wanted to tear her mouth apart. She actually persuaded Miss Tang that the second young master of the Cheng family was a good person. Why didn't such a rotten person just die? Miss Tang was such a good person, but she was gone just like that. But what surprised her was that Xiao Shueshi actually did this. She liked her more and more. Since that was the case, she was naturally happy to cooperate. You can take this quarters. Yun Xiaolian still didn't look happy. Cheng Zixiao didn't seem to care, and only looked at her expectantly. Yun Xiaolian turned around and took out a few sets of clothes and handed them to Cheng Zixiao. Cheng Zixiao held them like treasures and didn't let Tao Hutsai touch them. Just as he was about to turn around and leave, Yun Xiaolian's voice sounded. Wait a minute, you haven't paid yet. Cheng Zixiao was stunned and looked back at Yun Xiaolian. He was very confused. Didn't these clothes have a full payment? Miss Tang and I originally agreed to take the first quarter's worth of clothes and pay for the rest. I didn't expect something to happen to her. Cheng Zixiao's arm trembled and his lips moved. Hutsai, pay. Pay the rest of the money, Cheng Zixiao added. Tao Hutsai was silent for a moment and asked Yun Xiaolian, Miss Yun, how much is the balance? Wait a minute, let me calculate. Yun Xiaolian took out an abacus and counted. Miss Tang ordered clothes for you from Yun's tailor shop for 10 years. There are 4 quarters a year, 3 sets each quarter. 3, 4, 12, 12, a total of 120 sets of clothes. 1 set of winter clothes costs 300 yuan. 30 sets of winter clothes costs 9,000 yuan. Spring and autumn clothes cost 200 yuan. 60 sets of spring and autumn clothes cost 12,000 yuan. Summer clothes cost 150 yuan. 30 sets of summer clothes cost 4,500 yuan. The total is 25,500 yuan. Because of Miss Tang's generosity, I erased 500 yuan for her, so it's 25,000 yuan. Miss Tang has already paid 2,500 yuan as a deposit, so second young master Cheng can just pay the rest. He Kai, pay up. Even though this was a huge expenditure, Cheng Zixiao didn't have much of a reaction. Tao Hutsai hesitated for a moment. After all, he had let Tangwa take away a small part of the family property, so there was not much liquid capital left in the residence. After paying more than 20,000, the residents would have to live in poverty for a while. After all, he didn't dare to casually take out the money in the shop for fear that he wouldn't have enough liquid funds. But looking at Cheng Zixiao's appearance, Tao he could only inform Yun Xiaolian first, and then go get the money. Cheng Zixiao sat in the rickshaw with the clothes in his hands, in a daze. He did not even notice that Xiao Shueshi had bid him farewell. Are you feeling better now? Yun Xiaolian looked at Xiao Shueshi's silent face. Why aren't you happy? At the very least, we can scam him. Tangwa is not coming back. It's useless to vent our anger. Yun Xiaolian sighed. Then why did you do all this? Consider it my repayment to her. I have an idea now. I want Cheng Zixiao to never be able to walk out of this. Chapter 5500. Yun Xiaolian didn't know that Xiao Shueshi had so many tricks up her sleeves. Thinking about that scene, Cheng Zixiao really made an honest person anxious. Tangwa heard about Xiao Shueshi from Yin Qing and was a little surprised. She didn't expect her to work with Yun Xiaolian to trick Cheng Zixiao and succeed. Not only that, she even had a way to trick him. The brothers have already integrated the businesses at the foot of the mountain, according to what you said. In a few months, we can slowly come into contact with some of the Cheng family's businesses. Yin Qing reported on the recent homework. Xiao Shueshi is currently looking for candidates. It seems that she has to trick Cheng Zixiao. Don't worry about that. Do you feel bored on the mountain? Do you want to go out and have a look? If we don't go to Fish City, we can go to other places to play. Tangwa didn't plan to go down the mountain recently, so she refused. Seeing Yin Qing's disappointed expression, she changed her words. I want to go around the mountain. Then I'll take you. Yin Qing became energetic again. Really? I haven't taken you around since you came up the mountain." Time passed unknowingly. It had been 2 months since Tangwa jumped into the sea. Cheng Zixiao looked fine on the surface, which made Old Master Cheng feel more at ease. However, Tao Hatsai was very worried. The clothes Cheng Zixiao was wearing now were the clothes he had picked up from the Yun family's tailor shop. Other than these clothes, he didn't wear anything else. He had gone to look for Qiao Shueshi a few times, and Qiao Shueshi had come to give him face. He didn't listen to their conversation, but Qiao Shueshi's appearance didn't seem to improve the second young master's situation much. This made Tao Hutsai feel very helpless. Every time Qiao Shueshi came, of course, it was to talk to Cheng Zixiao about Tangwa. She couldn't trick Tangwa about clothes, but she could trick her in other areas. For example, she told Cheng Zixiao about Tangwa's hobbies. These hobbies were true. She understood Cheng Zixiao a little. As long as she said that Tangwa liked something, he would definitely buy it back and keep it in his house. She saw with her own eyes that there were more and more things in the house. According to Cheng Zixiao, these were all gifts for Tangwa when she came back. To this, she merely smiled. Why did the late affection make her feel so cheap? It wasn't touching at all. She just thought he was. Recently, Tao Hexai had come to look for her again. It just so happened that she wanted to test the waters. If you're not happy, you can go watch a movie. If you're unhappy, you can go watch a movie. As expected, Cheng Zixiao listened. That afternoon, he went to the cinema to buy tickets to watch a movie. Tao Hutsai sat in the back, while Cheng Zixiao sat in the seat that he and Tangwa had shared before. He still remembered the conversation between the two. The more he thoughts, the more he's azes, s sitting, tssd, his's azes, s's. When Cheng Zixiao saw her, he was stunned. He rushed over, grabbed her, and called out Tangwa's name. In the end, the woman was so scared that she screamed and called him a pervert. When the theater staff heard the noise, they quickly came in and pulled Cheng Zixiao away. At this moment, Cheng Zixiao finally saw clearly that this woman wasn't Tangwa. She didn't look like her at all. But just now, he clearly felt that this woman was Tangwa. No, it should be said that she looked very much like Tangwa when she Saturday. Chapter 5501. Why are you dressed like this? Cheng Zixiao stared at the panicked woman in front of him with a gloomy expression. Do you deserve to dress like this? Other than Tangwa, no one would look good in this dress. The woman, who was wearing the same cheongsam as Tangwa, was furious when she heard Cheng Zixiao's words. Why do you care what I look like? Who are you? Do you live by the sea? Come and take a look. There's a homeless man here who wants to take advantage of me. He's blaming me for wearing the wrong dress. Everyone, help me take this hooligan to the police station. This woman's voice was so loud that it hurt the ears of the people around her. Cheng Zixiao's words were so outrageous that the lights in the cinema had to be turned on. The staff held Cheng Zifeng down. No matter how Tao Hutsai shouted, it was useless. It's a misunderstanding. This is the second young master of the Cheng family, not a hooligan. In the end, Tao Hutsai could only announce his identity. Ever since Miss Tang went missing, the second young master has been acting strangely. Please forgive him. When everyone heard this, they stopped making a ruckus and carefully sized up Cheng Zixiao. Tao Hutsai apologized to everyone and quickly pulled Cheng Zixiao away. Cheng Zixiao's eyes were still on the woman, but she glared at him. He finally retracted his gaze. Just now, his eyes were playing tricks on him. He had mistaken her for someone else. The same clothes on different people really made a world of difference. Tao Hutsai looked at the silent Cheng Zixiao and didn't know what to say. He felt that it was better not to come to the cinema in the future. There were too many people here, and the lights were dim. It was easy to mistake people. However, he didn't know that in the following days, Cheng Zixiao would mistake someone else for someone else almost every day. Every time, he would rush over and grab an unfamiliar woman, shouting Tangwa's name loudly. In the end, he would either be pushed away, slapped, or beaten up by the woman's partner. After that, he would know that this was the second young master of the Cheng family. In just a month, the news that the second young master of the Cheng family might have lost his mind spread. Xiao Shueshi was satisfied with Cheng Zixiao's condition. She had hired those women. She might not be able to do other things at the moment, but she should be able to make Cheng Zixiao live in the shadows forever if she worked hard. Right now, everyone in Fish City is saying that Cheng Zixiao is about to go crazy, Yun Xiaolian said in a low voice. But there's another rumor that I'm afraid you won't like to hear. It's about the people in Fish City talking about Xiaoguo, right? She said that a woman like her who didn't abide by the virtues of a wife didn't deserve Cheng Zixiao's attention, right? He even said that it was a pity for Cheng Zixiao. Yun Xiaolian nodded lightly. Just hearing it makes me angry. How could Miss Tang be that kind of person? Speaking of which, when are you going to announce the truth? They're all prejudiced by their first impressions. Unless Cheng Zixiao takes the initiative to admit to it, there's no evidence to back up the news. Besides, I'm afraid that if this attack fails, Cheng Zixiao will suddenly wake up, and that will be troublesome. Yun Xiaolian knocked on her head. I thought you were an idiot. I didn't expect you to be so smart. I'm an idiot. It's all because I suffered at your hands. You really screwed me over that time. Yun Xiaolian hurriedly stopped and admitted her mistake. It's all because I was young and insensible. I was jealous and thought that you got a good deal. I didn't expect this to be Cheng Zixiao's scheme. I was also an idiot. If I wanted to find trouble, I shouldn't have found trouble with those two brothers. Why would I find trouble with you? Chapter 5502. Because you think I'm taking advantage of you. Yun Xiaolian, let's get down to business. What do you plan to do next? Xiao Shueshi was silent for about half a minute before saying, since everyone in Yu City is saying that Xiao Guo is unfaithful and not worthy of Cheng Zixiao doing this, I want to make this rumor even more intense. No matter where Cheng Zixiao went, he could hear people talking about Xiao Guo and saying bad things about her. Right now, in his heart, he already sees Xiao Guo as his life. If everyone is slandering her, what do you think he will do? He'll stop these people and won't allow them to say that. But can he stop them? At least if he praises her, the Cheng family won't be able to develop. Everyone knows that the second young master of the Cheng family has lost his mind and did crazy things for Xiao Guo. Do you think others won't take this opportunity to suppress the Cheng family? If he doesn't take the initiative to admit his mistake, I'll announce the truth when the Cheng family is no longer in power. At that time, it'll be time for everyone to beat the dog in the water. Many people will suddenly realize that Cheng Zixiao is blaming himself because he did something wrong. They won't subconsciously excuse him just because he's the second young master of the Cheng family. Yun Xiaolian patted her chest and couldn't help but take 2 steps back. Where did you learn this? Xiaoguo taught me, and the rich ladies in Yu City gave me pointers. Ever since the incident with Xieyuan, I've made many friends at every gathering. Only then did I know that the rich ladies in the circle aren't so unapproachable. They're actually very easy to get along with. TSK. No wonder. You've grown up. Tanghua, who was far away on Oxhead Mountain, was still a little surprised when she heard Xiao Shueshi's actions. Yanqing. When Xiao Shueshi spreads rumors, help light the fire. Keep an eye on the Cheng family. Don't let other families divide us up when we work so hard. Yanqing patted his chest and promised, don't worry, I'm watching. Actually, he had the ability to take over Yu City, just like some other powers. For some reason, Tanghua stopped this from happening. She even said that the light of the world would soon arrive. When the time came, he just needed to join and there was no need for him to do anything else. In any case, he would listen to her. Now that his brothers were very happy, he was also very happy. Within a few days, there were more and more discussions about Tanghua in Yu City. Anyway, they were talking about her and Cheng Zifeng over and over again. Even the servants of the Cheng family couldn't help but secretly talk about how Tanghua had caused their second young master to suffer so much. If she hadn't done such a disgraceful thing, their second young master wouldn't have lost his mind. When Cheng Zixiao heard this, he roared at these people. She's not that kind of person. Tao Hatsai, chase these people out. Whoever says anything bad about her, chase them out. In just 3 days, Cheng Zixiao had chased away more than half of the Cheng family servants. Old Master Cheng couldn't sit still anymore. He came to him and persuaded Zixiao, why do you have to give up on yourself for such a woman? You're a descendant of the Cheng family. Isn't it easy for you to have a woman? They're right. If she's a good second young mistress and knows her place, get out. Before old Master Cheng could finish, Cheng Zixiao got angry and stared at him with red eyes. What do you know? What right do you have to talk about her? Get out. Old Master Cheng pointed at Cheng Zixiao and gasped. You're crazy. I'll say it again. Whoever says anything bad about her in the Cheng family, get out. He looked up and looked at old Master Cheng coldly. Including you, old man. Old Master Cheng's blood rushed to his heart and he fainted. Master fainted. Cheng Zifeng crossed his legs lazily and asked calmly, Is he still breathing? Yes. Then get out. Wait, how did he faint? It's like this. After hearing what the servant said, Cheng Zifeng couldn't help laughing. Zixiao is really much more promising than me. Not to mention other things, Zixiao's courage and ability are indeed impressive. By the way, if I had been more forceful before, Yuan might have married into the family. It turns out that my father is so cowardly. Chapter 5503. Have you heard? Because the Cheng family's servants said a few bad things about Miss Tang, they were chased out by the Cheng family's second young master. That's not all. I also heard that even old Master Cheng couldn't say anything bad about Miss Tang. That day, he said a few words and fainted because of the Cheng family's second young master. This generation of the Cheng family is ruined here. Speaking of which, Miss Tang is really a troublemaker. If it weren't for her, the Cheng family would definitely be fine. Everyone was discussing animatedly. Cheng Zixiao happened to pass by in a rickshaw. When he heard these words, he couldn't take it anymore. He stopped the rickshaw driver and rushed down to grab the person who spoke. He said fiercely, What right do you have to say something bad about her? Look, it's the Cheng family's second young master. It's fine if he cares about his own family, but he also cares about outsiders. When the surrounding people saw that it was Cheng Zixiao, they hurriedly went forward to pull him back. Today, Cheng Zifeng was alone. Two random people could easily pull him apart. The person who was grabbed by the collar just now pushed Cheng Zixiao hard and mocked, Isn't what I said the truth? Isn't it because she doesn't like you and isn't willing to marry you that she's with your brother? Everyone in your city knows that you personally wrote the letter of divorce and arranged for someone to send her back. Isn't that the reason? If it weren't for her, shouldn't your Cheng family be very peaceful? What's wrong with that? Speaking of which, second young master Cheng, no matter how much you like a woman, you have to wipe your face and wipe your eyes. For such a woman, is it worth it to torment the Cheng family like this? Moreover, this woman didn't like you. She betrayed you, humiliated you, and made you a cuckold. Now that she's dead, she deserves it. You should be happy. Why can't you forget it? Yeah, the people around him echoed. Even if Tang Guo was a fairy who had descended to the mortal world, the best choice for any man in the face of such a woman was to give up. They didn't understand why Cheng Zixiao couldn't forget such a woman and even caused the Cheng family to be in such a mess. If the truth was as they said, Cheng Zixiao naturally wouldn't be so angry. It should be said that if he had not discovered his own feelings and understood that Tang Guo was the one who treated him the best in the world, he would not be in such pain right now. Listening to the harsh words of the people around him, the underlying meaning was that he was muddle-headed at the moment, and all kinds of bad things about Tang Guo. He was on the verge of breaking down. He took 2 steps back and couldn't help shouting, She is innocent. She has nothing to do with Cheng Zifeng. Second young master Cheng, no matter how much you like this woman, you don't have to lie through your teeth, do you? Back then, when she had an affair with your eldest brother, it was the Cheng family servants who personally brought you to catch her in the act. It was impossible to hide such a huge matter. You're protecting her too much. Why? She's really innocent. She didn't do anything, really? Cheng Zixiao repeated. He scratched his head hard, his eyes red with tears. She's innocent. She doesn't dislike me. She likes me. She doesn't like Cheng Zifeng. How could she like Cheng Zifeng? She likes me. You don't know anything at all. Cheng Zixiao roared loudly, but it didn't cause any impact on the passers-by. They all shook their heads with regret on their faces. The voices of discussion rang in Cheng Zixiao's ears again. It seems that the rumor is true. Second young master Cheng has really lost his mind. No, I haven't lost my mind. I'm very clear-headed. Cheng Zixiao looked at the passers-by, shaking their heads, and raised his voice. I'll say it again. She has never done anything wrong. But, second young master, how are you? Tao Hutsai quickly rushed over and grabbed Cheng Zixiao. He pulled him away and pushed him into the rickshaw. Second young master, the doctor said that you need to rest for a while. Tao Hutsai's back was soaked with sweat. If he had come a little later and the second young master had revealed the entire plan, it would have been over. What a pity. Xiao Shueshi, who was hiding in a corner, couldn't help but stomp her feet. This Tao Hutsai, he came just in time. If I had known earlier, I would have delayed him. Chapter 5504. Second young master, how are you? Cheng Zixiao had already returned to the Cheng family. Tao Hutsai looked at the silent Cheng Zixiao and was very worried. Second young master, let's keep what happened a secret. It's not good for you to talk about it. The Cheng family is already in a mess. I hope you can pull yourself together soon. Don't you still need to earn money and hire people to find Miss Tang? Seeing that Cheng Zixiao still didn't speak, Tao Hutsai said, Second young master, you can't collapse at this time. If you collapse, there will be no more hope. Before you find Miss Tang, you must take care of yourself and wait for her to come back. I know that second young master is very remorseful about that matter and wants to prove her innocence, but she hasn't come back yet. So what if you prove her innocence? Not only will she not know, but it will also put you in a lot of trouble. Why don't you wait for Miss Tang to come back and apologize to her personally and prove her innocence? Tao Hutsai knew that the chances of Tang was surviving were almost zero. He just wanted to calm Cheng Zixiao down. In his opinion, no matter how painful the injury was, it would slowly recover with time. Even if the injury couldn't be completely healed, it would at least be better than now. Saying that Tangwa was coming back was nothing more than reassuring Cheng Zixiao and giving him hope to pull himself together. This time, Cheng Zixiao did listen. He looked up. If she comes back, will she forgive me? As long as you are alive and sincerely repent to her, you will be forgiven one day. As long as Miss Tang comes back, you will have a lifetime to work hard. So at this time, you must take care of yourself and protect the Cheng family. This will give her a stable environment. If you give up, you won't be able to wait for her to come back. Cheng Zixiao listened. Yes, I will wait for her to come back. I will make the Cheng family stronger. I will make a lot of money. Hire a lot of people to find her. When she comes back, I will give everything to her and let her do whatever she wants. As long as she is willing to come back to me, I am willing to use my life to atone for my sins. Tao Hutsai's heart softened, but he still nodded. The next day, Cheng Zixiao began to pull himself together and deal with the problems left behind by the Cheng family. The surrounding families who were eyeing Cheng Zixiao covetously hesitated when they saw that he had suddenly recovered. Even old Master Cheng, who was lying on the hospital bed, heaved a sigh of relief when he heard this. Although he was angry, as long as Cheng Zixiao could support the Cheng family, he would swallow his anger. There was nothing he could do about it. Everyone had been replaced by Cheng Zixiao. He couldn't do anything about it even if he wanted to. In addition to his physical condition, there was nothing he could do about it. This month, Cheng Zifeng found Cheng Zixiao and said bluntly. He was not ashamed of asking for money at all. Cheng Zixiao looked at him coldly, then asked Tao Hutsai to get the money. After getting the money, Cheng Zifeng said with a smile, What? Have you thought it through? You seem to be working very hard recently. You. How much can she like you? Besides, not only does she not like you, but she also has me in her heart. Cheng Zifeng smiled proudly, but before he could finish, he was pressed to the ground by Cheng Zixiao. Tao Hutsai watched Cheng Zifeng scream and did not stop him. He saw that it was about time and reminded him, Second Master, it's about time. Cheng Zixiao let go. Throw him out. If you mention this in the future, I will beat you every time I see you. This time, Cheng Zifeng was a little scared and quickly slipped away. Chapter 5505. Second young master, what are you looking at? Tao Hutsai asked. He followed Cheng Zixiao's gaze and saw a woman sitting in a rickshaw. Second young master, do you want to know who she is? No. Cheng Zixiao looked away. They're wearing the same clothes, but it's not her. She looks a bit like her. Tao Hatsai understood that the woman had evoked Chang Zixiao's memories. There are millions of people in this world. It's inevitable that some of their characteristics will be similar. He hoped that second young master would take a fancy to other women. That way, he wouldn't be obsessed with Miss Tang. He didn't know if Fish City was too big or too small. Chang Zixiao could always see people who looked like Tanghua. Maybe it was their eyes, or their mouth, or their behavior, or even their voice. In short, the people he met in this small fish city always reminded him of Tanghua. He didn't have the impulse to call for her like before. After all, these people only looked like her, not her. Why would he call for her? It seems that this move isn't very effective. I don't know why, but Chang Zixiao suddenly pulled himself together recently. Xiao Xueshi was very distressed. She wanted to do more, but her ability was limited. Yun Xiaolian said, "It's most likely that Tao Hutsai said something." Although Chang Zixiao pulled himself together, he probably hasn't forgotten Miss Tang. After all, he's still attracted to those women who look like Miss Tang. He'll stay and observe for a while, but he's not as impulsive as before. I'm just afraid that he won't be impulsive. If he suddenly calms down, those people in Fish City who are preparing to deal with him will give up on their previous thoughts. Other things aside, Cheng Zixiao is definitely very skilled in this aspect. Unfortunately, I don't have this ability. Otherwise, you've already done very well. How about this? I'll spend more effort on the details of each of the clothes for jealousy. When the time comes, we'll perfect it together. We'll do whatever we can. Yun Xiaolian buried her head and continued to embroider on the cloth. Besides, with our ability, this is all we can do. There's nothing else we can do. Xiao Xueshi was a bit unwilling, but there was no other way for now. She could only agree. Why was she so incompetent? 3 months later, a foreign merchant suddenly appeared in Fish City. He was very generous, and the goods in his hands were also very good. He was very popular with many bosses in Fish City. Later on, they found out that many of the businesses of this foreign merchant overlapped with those of the Cheng family. The moment he appeared, Cheng Zixiao noticed him, especially when the other party had snatched away a lot of the Cheng family's business as soon as he appeared. Cheng Zixiao felt that he was being targeted. He planned to meet this foreign merchant face to face at the banquet in Fish City and test his intentions. This foreign merchant was none other than Yin Qing. After Tangua's training, Yin Qing had improved in all aspects, including culture, fashion sense, wine tasting, understanding of all the businesses under his name, and could even speak some foreign languages. At this moment, no matter where he went, no one would suspect that he was a bandit, but a noble young master. He and his underlings had also obtained proper identities in other places. It could be said that they had washed away all the traces of being bandits from before. Of course, the base camp on Oxhead Mountain was still there. It was still guarded and trained every day. This was Tangua's request. Yin Qing didn't care. He just had to listen to his wife. Yin Qing's underlings didn't care either. They wouldn't lose out if they listened to their sister-in-law. Tanghua was going to attend this banquet as Yin Qing's fiancée. Chapter 5506. The Fish City business banquet that Cheng Zixiao had been looking forward to finally began. It was mainly a gathering of the important people in Fish City so that everyone could get to know each other. Secondly, it was also to introduce everyone to the rising star of Fish City, Yin Qing. After all, this young outsider had caused a stir in Fish City the moment he appeared. He had all sorts of tricks up his sleeves. The things he took out were tempting, but at the same time, they were worried that they would be replaced by Yin Qing. Perhaps one day, Yin Qing would step into their businesses. This time, they especially invited Cheng Zixiao. After all, most of the businesses under Yin Qing's name overlapped with the Cheng families. The hidden meaning was for Cheng Zixiao to get involved, and Cheng Zixiao had no choice but to come. After all, this was related to the Cheng family's business. Everyone had arrived early to watch the show. It was Cheng Zixiao's first time coming so early. He looked around and didn't see any unfamiliar faces. He could only sit and wait. Xiao Xueshi was also here. She had the right to come because she had caught the eye of some rich ladies. And now, Xiao Xueshi was considered someone with some family background. It was no problem for her to come here. When Xiao Shueshi saw Cheng Zixiao, she walked over. Of course, she wasn't greeting him kindly. She was reminding him, "It's time to get this season's clothes again. Have you forgotten?" Cheng Zixiao was stunned. "No, how could I forget? I've been a little busy recently." "Oh, busy. You used to be this busy too. That's why you didn't notice the best people around you, right? No wonder you can't keep the people you want to keep. After all, you're busy." Cheng Zixiao's heart ached. He instantly recalled the time when he was busy. He had really neglected the most important thing around him. What made him even more upset was that from the day of their marriage, his affection for Tang Guo was only on the surface. In reality, there was no fluctuation in his heart. This kind of hypocrisy made him feel suffocated. Thinking about it carefully, he really owed her too much. Xiao Shueshi picked the nearest seat and sat down. She said in a strange tone, "Time is amazing. It can always fade many things. For example, no matter how good a person is, they will still be forgotten after a while. No matter how good a person was to someone in the past, as long as she disappears from this person's world, there will be no trace of her in the future. However, this person had done something bad that didn't exist. Everyone remembered it clearly, but no one has been able to prove her innocence." Cheng Zixiao's heart was extremely uncomfortable. "Miss Chiao, don't say any more. I haven't forgotten her. I just want to pull myself together and wait for her to come back. Did I say anything?" Xiao Shueshi revealed a fake smile. "I was just talking to myself about some things." "Isn't that the truth? Do you understand how it feels to hear the people around you talk about someone you used to know every day, but you can't explain or prove your innocence?" Cheng Zixiao was silent. Of course he understood, but he really couldn't fall. "Cheng Zixiao, the chances of her coming back are very slim. With your ability, can you prove her innocence?" Cheng Zixiao didn't know what to do under Xiao Shueshi's serious gaze. Of course, he wanted to prove Tang was innocence, but he wanted to wait for her to come back first. "When she comes back, I will prove it." Cheng Zixiao clenched his teeth and said. Xiao Shueshi looked at his pained expression and felt a little better. "You want to walk out of this easily? No way." Anyway, she didn't plan to marry again. She would torture Cheng Zixiao for the rest of her life. "Boss Yin, you're finally here. It's rare to see such a noble person like you. Please come in, quickly." The person who spoke paused as if he had noticed something. "This is?" Chapter 5507. My fiancé's surname is Tang. Yin Qing introduced generously. If it weren't for the fact that Tang Gua had imprinted countless etiquettes into his heart, it wouldn't have been appropriate for him to show a wide smile at this moment. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to control himself. Now, he could only show a faint and handsome smile, but he couldn't hide the love in his eyes when he looked at Tang Gua. Everyone knew that Yin Qing loved his fiancée very much. Many people stared at Yin Qing, especially at Tang Gua. Unfortunately, she was wearing a hat that covered half of her face, so there was no way to see her face for the time being. Yin Qing was young and had long been targeted by the ladies of Yu City. Now that they knew that he had a fiancée, they were very disappointed. And judging from her figure, she was definitely a beauty. Besides, Yin Qing was so careful that it was obvious that they loved each other very much. They had no chance at all. "Hello, Miss Tang. Please come in. The people here want to know Boss Yin. You're so mysterious that it's hard to make an appointment." Yin Qing maintained his smile and let Tang Gua hold his hand as they walked inside. When they came to a suitable seat, Cheng Zixiao came up to him and stretched out a hand before he sat down. "Boss Yin, I've heard a lot about you." Yin Qing stretched out his hand. "I've heard a lot about you, Second Master Cheng. I have something to ask Boss Yin. Is it convenient for you?" Cheng Zixiao was very direct. He made a gesture of invitation and asked the waiter to bring wine. Yin Qing pulled out a chair and asked Tang Gua to sit down first. "Sit here for a while. I have something to discuss with Second Master Cheng." "Okay," Tang Gua answered. She raised her head slightly and put her handbag on the table. Cheng Zixiao suddenly heard a familiar voice and looked over subconsciously. He didn't look carefully just now because he knew that this woman was Yin Qing's fiancée. His target was Yin Qing. Of course, he didn't want to pay attention to someone else. This familiar voice made him subconsciously look at it. He had already experienced many similar things. The voice was similar, or even the same, but it didn't mean that this person was Tanghua. In his heart, he was thinking that it was another commoner who sounded exactly like her. However, when he saw the face that looked exactly the same, he froze on the spot, unable to say a word. It was as if he had been nailed to the ground and lost his ability to move. He stood there in a daze, staring at Tanghua's face. He watched as she took small sips of the wine. She even smiled at Yin Qing and whispered something to him. As if she could feel his burning gaze, she looked at him. Under Cheng Zixiao's expectant gaze, she frowned, as if she didn't like such a gaze. That pair of eyes was really unfamiliar. Second young master Cheng, what are you trying to say? Xiaogua. Cheng Zixiao ignored Yin Qing and rushed in front of Tanghua. He reached out to hug her, but Yin Qing grabbed his shoulder and pulled him aside. Yin Qing's face darkened. Second young master Cheng, what do you mean? Publicly humiliating my fiancé? Are you here to talk, or to cause trouble? Xiaogua, are you back? I've been looking for you for a long time. Many people said that the chances of finding you were slim, but I didn't give up. Cheng Zixiao didn't seem to understand what he was saying. His voice was very loud, attracting everyone's attention. At this moment, everyone looked at Tanghua and exclaimed, "Wasn't she Tanghua?" Even Xiao Xueshi was shocked. Tanghua was back? Was she really still alive? Tanghua stood up and approached Yin Qing. Yin Qing lowered his head and gave her a look. She understood, as if to say that he was strong enough to throw a grown man away with one hand. Tanghua couldn't help but laugh. This interaction simply stung Cheng Zixiao's heart. Xiaogua, I was wrong. Tanghua stopped smiling. Second young master Cheng, do we know each other? I don't think we've met before. Of course we know each other. We used to be husband and wife, Cheng Zixiao said. Used to be? Tanghua raised her eyebrows. So you're not husband and wife anymore? Cheng Zixiao wanted to say something, but Tanghua interrupted him. But I really don't know you. You must have mistaken me for someone else. Everyone was in an uproar. They couldn't tell if the woman in front of them was Tanghua or looked like Tanghua. Chapter 5508. No, I won't mistake you for someone else. You are her. Cheng Zixiao was sure that he had not mistaken her for someone else. As for why Tanghua did not recognize him and acted like a stranger, he guessed that it was because she had fallen into the sea and hit her head, so she had forgotten the past. Facing such a stubborn Cheng Zixiao, Yin Qing was very dissatisfied. This person who clearly had so many good opportunities but had never been promoted was really a little shameless. He shielded Tanghua behind him and pressed Cheng Zixiao with one hand. Second young master Cheng, my fiancée said that she doesn't know you. Cheng Zixiao looked angry and even looked at Yin Qing with a bit of murderous intent. Yin Qing did not care about this bit of murderous intent. It was not like he had never killed people before. He did not kill people casually. If Cheng Zixiao wanted to steal his wife, he would have to kill him. Cheng Zixiao felt the weight on his shoulders and heard the discussion around him. He quickly came back to his senses and realized where he was. He immediately calmed himself down and said to Yin Qing with a serious expression, Boss Yin, I believe that I didn't mistake you for someone else. And you just said that her surname is Tang. Is her name Tanghua? I guess so. Cheng Zixiao looked at Yin Qing with confidence as if he had won. I've been looking for her for a long time. But she doesn't know you. Tanghua had already told Yin Qing that she had come back as an amnesiac. He did not know what Tanghua wanted to do. Anyway, it would not benefit Cheng Zixiao, so he just had to cooperate. Besides, no matter who she is now my fiancée. She has nothing to do with you. Second young master Cheng, you have to be clear about this. Yin Qing added, most importantly, she doesn't know you. It seems that she doesn't want to know more about you. Cheng Zixiao pursed his lips and looked at Tanghua's face. Seeing that she was not moved at all, his heart sank. Then I want to ask, where did you meet her, Boss Yin? Afraid that Yin Qing would not be willing to admit it, Cheng Zixiao added. Since you think that you are close, there is no need to hide this kind of thing. Yin Qing chuckled. Why should I tell you? Second young master Cheng, if you're not in the mood to talk, then please make room for us. Seeing Cheng Zixiao's anxious look, Yin Qing was very pleased. The only bad thing was that now everyone knew that his wife had returned and had lost her memory. All kinds of strange gazes were on her. Believe me, we really know each other. Cheng Zixiao didn't know how to explain. We used to be very familiar with each other. Can you give me a chance to help you remember the past? He had imagined all kinds of scenarios in which Tangguo would appear. The only thing he didn't expect was that she would appear in front of him as another man's fiancée, and that she didn't recognize him anymore. The pair of eyes that were originally focused on him were now focused on someone else. The scene before his eyes was really about to drive Cheng Zixiao crazy, but he couldn't be impulsive. If he did something bad, it would leave a bad impression on her. She didn't have any memories of him now. If he didn't perform well, she would only hate him. Suddenly, Cheng Zixiao thought of something and ran to Qiao Xueshi. Miss Qiao, help me persuade her. Aren't you also looking forward to her return? Qiao Xueshi looked at Cheng Zixiao's pitiful appearance and didn't know why, but she still didn't feel touched by his infatuation. She still felt that it was ridiculous. Since Tangguo was going to stay in Fish City, she would definitely hear those rumors. It was just a matter of time, so she might as well take the initiative to bring it up. She knew that it was impossible to completely hide it. If she took precautions in advance, the other party would be prepared. She thought that this person called Yin Qing wasn't bad. He was capable. His eyes were on Tangguo the entire time. She believed that he would definitely be able to protect Tangguo well. Qiao Xueshi stayed by Tangguo's side for the entire banquet. Yin Qing asked his underlings to guard them and went to discuss things with others without worry. Cheng Zixiao could only stand by the side. He wanted to go in, but he couldn't. Hearing the occasional laughter and bad-mouthing him, he was so angry that his heart hurt. Chapter 55:10. That day, rumors about Tangguo spread like wildfire in Yu City. Everyone was talking about how Tangguo was back and that she was Boss Yan's fiancée. She didn't seem to remember anything else. After leaving the banquet, Cheng Zixiao was both angry and happy. He was happy that Tangguo was back, but angry that she had become someone else's fiancée. That day, he gave the order to compete with Yin Qing. He couldn't admit defeat. First, he had to defeat Yin Qing. No matter what, he was still a local of Fish City. If he got serious, Yin Qing, an outsider, was no match for him. Unfortunately, he had forgotten that Yin Qing was talented and had a strategist by his side. Basically, he was the kind that could solve all kinds of problems. After a few confrontations, the results weren't ideal. Instead, he was tricked by Yin Qing, so he had to stop. Recently, he wanted to see Tangguo every day, but she didn't go out, so he didn't have a chance to see her. Second Master, Miss Tang is out. Tao Hutsai didn't know if he was happy or sad. He hadn't expected Tangguo to be alive and come back. Unfortunately, she had lost her memory and had become someone else's fiancée. If it was just memory loss, it might be good for Second Master. They might be able to start over. However, she was Yin Qing's fiancée now, and Qiao Xueshi was sowing discord. The situation was very bad for Second Master. Actually, he wanted to persuade Cheng Zixiao to give up and make up for his mistakes in other ways. But he knew Cheng Zixiao well enough to know that he wouldn't agree. So it's Second Master Cheng. Cheng Zixiao stopped her at Yun's tailor shop, so he couldn't look anywhere else. His attention was all on her. You used to like making clothes here. Before you left, you ordered clothes for me for the next 10 years. There will be clothes for all 4 seasons. Have you forgotten all of that? I really don't remember. Tangguo smiled. Since you said that I left, why are you still so stubborn? If you leave, it means that we're not fated. No, it's just a misunderstanding. What misunderstanding? Tangguo asked. Cheng Zixiao opened his mouth, but he didn't know what to say. I didn't believe you and caused you to leave sadly. Cheng Zixiao paused for a moment before saying, after you left, I regretted it very much. I should have believed you. How could you do such a thing? There must have been a misunderstanding. Someone must have framed you. We're obviously living under the same roof. I should know your character. You wouldn't do something like that. I know that you're too angry, that's why you've forgotten the past. But I hope you can give me a chance to make up for my mistakes. He couldn't directly tell her about his plans. The Tangwa in front of him had completely forgotten everything that had happened in the past. If he told her about his plans, she might just mock him and turn around to leave. She would not look at him with a smile and give him a chance to speak. After all, she had forgotten that everything was because of her, but she had no feelings for him at all. Since it's your fault and you want to make up for it, why do you want me to cooperate with you? Tangwa asked. I believe you're very happy. Can't you see? The two questions left Cheng Zixiao speechless. Chapter 55:11. You keep saying that you want to make it up to me and treat me well, but I'm doing very well now. Instead, your appearance and all kinds of excuses have brought me a lot of trouble. Second young Master Cheng, your appearance has caused me a lot of trouble. If you really think that what you did in the past was wrong, then don't disturb me now. Tangwa walked into Yun's tailor shop and ignored Cheng Zixiao. Cheng Zixiao still followed her in and asked Yun Xiaolian for the clothes. After getting the clothes for this season, he hurriedly said to Tangwa, "These were all ordered before you left. I come here every season to collect them." Yun Xiaolian also knew that Tangwa had returned. After knowing that she didn't remember the past, especially after knowing that Cheng Zixiao had left, her reaction was the same as Qiao Xuexi's. Seeing Cheng Zixiao's despicable expression, she was even happier. The person who had once been pushed away and had been with him in his heart actually didn't remember him and was someone else's fiancé. This feeling must be very uncomfortable. Tangwa made 2 sets of clothes as usual and chatted with Yun Xiaolian for a while before leaving without paying attention to Cheng Zixiao. Cheng Zixiao didn't chase after her. Of course, he wasn't willing to give up just like that. This was the person he had lost before. No matter what, he had to get her back. Therefore, he decided to get rid of Yanqing first and chase him out of Yu City like a dog in the water. He wanted to show Tangwa that this person wasn't reliable at all. He knew fame and fortune too well. If that man couldn't protect himself, he would definitely abandon her. He might even give her up in order to survive. By then, she would be able to take a good look and see if that man called Yanqing was the best choice for her. The first thing Cheng Zixiao did was to arrange for someone to act as a shill at Yanqing's businesses and cause trouble. Then, he bribed the police to arrest Yanqing and teach him a lesson. He had been secretly looking for trouble with Yanqing's businesses. Tangwa wouldn't have thought of this, would she? He guessed that if Yanqing was in trouble, Tangwa might come to him for help. After all, he was the only person she knew in Yu City who could help, right? However, he didn't expect that the police station would be attacked the night Yanqing was arrested. Although no one died, the situation was very tragic. Not only that, but as soon as the sun rose, the police came to the Cheng family's house and arrested Cheng Zixiao without a word. In addition, the trouble that Cheng Zixiao had caused for Yanqing had been returned in full. After a round of torment, Cheng Zixiao was tormented badly. The Cheng family's business also suffered a huge blow. This was especially true when Yanqing pursued Cheng Zixiao, forcing the Cheng clan to retreat quickly. Many of their businesses were facing closure. During this period of time, everyone in Fish City watched the show with great interest. Some cheered, some were afraid, but no one dared to interfere. After all, those unreasonable police officers were very obedient in front of Yanqing. They knew that they couldn't afford to offend Yanqing. Cheng Zixiao had been locked up for 2 whole months before he was released. At this time, his face was pale and he looked very thin. Tao Hatsai was the only one waiting for him outside. The sunlight was a little dazzling, and he felt a little cold. Second young master, forget it. That Yanqing has a strong background. Our Cheng family can't afford to offend him. Cheng Zixiao was a little lost and helpless. He felt terrible and his eyes suddenly turned red. How can I forget it? Hatsai, how can I forget it? If she remembers me, she won't be like this. If she remembers me, she'll definitely come back for me. As long as she remembers me, I'll apologize. He knew that he had lost. He couldn't take her back by force. Chapter 55:12. In the past few months, Yanqing had been fighting with the Cheng family. The other families didn't dare to interfere and were a little afraid. But in the end, they could only suck up to Yanqing. Now, Cheng Zixiao's life was more difficult. He had to face many problems and couldn't find Tanghua. Tanghua's life was quiet. Is that enough? Yin Qing understood. Tanghua was holding a grudge and came back to mess with the Chung family. It should be said that when she was sent to the wrong bridal chamber, Tanghua had been planning these things, right? Their meeting was probably an accident. It was also an accident that he could become an official. Speaking of which, it was also a bit of luck. Not enough. Yin Qing hurried over. Then how do you want to play? Find me an unfamiliar brother. It's best if he's good at foreign languages. I need him to do something. Yin Qing went to do it immediately. Not long after, a subordinate came and said excitedly, "Sister-in-law, what orders do you have?" Actually, in the eyes of this group of subordinates, they felt that their sister-in-law was much more powerful than their boss. Everyone in Fish City thought that their boss was fierce, who would laugh at their sister-in-law for plotting behind the scenes. It was also because of their sister-in-law that they were able to live such a righteous life. They weren't afraid of those bastards from the police. Those bastards had to bow their heads when they saw them now. According to their sister-in-law, the situation was chaotic now. They had to secretly control Fish City as soon as possible. When the time came, it would be of great use. Ban Yushan, pretend to be a Western doctor who just returned to the country and find Qing Zixiao. You? After hearing the plan, Ban Yushan was a little confused, but he still nodded to show that he would do it well. You don't have to worry about anything else. Just do what I do. He will create his own opportunity. The Chung family was basically defeated. With them around, there was no way they could make a comeback. Of course, it wasn't her style to let Qing Zixiao hide like a turtle. How could it be enough just for the family to be defeated? A few days later, Ban Yushan appeared in front of Qing Zixiao disguised as a Western doctor and successfully attracted his attention. Qing Zixiao knew that Western medicine was a little magical, so he asked about memory loss. Ban Yushan said that he happened to have a special medicine that could help people with amnesia regain their memories. How much they could regain depended on luck. After hearing this, Qing Zixiao was very happy and proposed to buy this special medicine. Ban Yushan pretended to say that the medicine was very rare. Qing Zixiao did not want to give up and took out a lot of small yellow croakers to buy it. The Chung family wasn't doing very well, and Tao He was unwilling to spend so much money, but he couldn't stop Qing Zixiao. After getting the special medicine, Qing Zixiao began to think of a way to make Tanghua drink it. Tell the other party directly? Of course not. The other party might not drink it. Therefore, he could only use his wits. He decided to ask Tanghua out and put the medicine in the coffee. His excuse for asking Tanghua out this time was to apologize to her and hope to meet her so that he wouldn't disturb her anymore. Tanghua went back and talked to him face to face. Qing Zixiao watched her drink the coffee, and the stone in his heart seemed to have been lifted. I'm sorry for disturbing you earlier. It's good that you understand. Tanghua still maintained her previous faint smile. This unfamiliar appearance made Qing Zixiao feel very uncomfortable. Qing Zixiao sighed. You really don't remember at all? I don't remember. At this moment, Tanghua suddenly covered her head as if she was in pain. Seeing this, Qing Zixiao didn't disturb her. Instead, he was looking forward to something. Translator, Henyi Translations Editor. Henyi Translations as if waiting for an entire world. Tanghua recovered. When she looked at Qing Zixiao again, the look in her eyes had changed. Xiaogua, do you remember? Qing Zixiao asked excitedly. Tanghua was cold. I don't think there's much to talk about between us. Tanghua grabbed her handbag and was about to leave when Qing Zixiao hurriedly stopped her. I'm sorry. I know that it hurt you. I once swore that I would apologize to you when you came back. I hope you can give me a chance. For your purpose, you didn't hesitate to destroy everything I had. Is just an apology enough? Tanghua continued to walk. Qing Zixiao wanted to stop her, but he was stopped by his men outside and couldn't get close. I know you've been wronged. I'll explain to the people of Yu City that it wasn't your fault. These days, Qing Zixiao was in too much pain. He really couldn't help it. He looked at Tanghua and shouted to the surroundings, Everyone, listen to me. Chapter 55:13. Tanghua turned around and looked at Qing Zixiao, who was standing at the entrance of the cafe. She didn't continue walking forward, as if waiting for him to continue. More and more people gathered around. The people of Yu City were more interested in the matter between Cheng Zixiao and Tanghua. After Tanghua jumped into the sea and disappeared, Cheng Zixiao seemed to have gone crazy. The people of Yu City often said that Tanghua was a troublemaker. Now that she was back, she had lost her memory, and she had a fiancé. With the fall of the Cheng family, the people of Yu City often talked about how Tanghua was a Sangmin star. If Cheng Zixiao had never married her, the Cheng family wouldn't have fallen to this point. It had to be said that no matter what era it was, people were always more demanding of women. It was a woman's fault to be involved in anything. The people around also heard what Cheng Zixiao wanted to say. They were curious about the story between the two. Anyway, it had nothing to do with them. It was fine to stay here and watch the show. Anyway, they were a troublemaker for Tanghua. The Sangmin star avoided her. They felt that anyone who got involved would be unlucky. Cheng Zixiao heard the whispers of the people around him. Looking at Tanghua's faint and slightly mocking gaze, he felt a little sad. He really didn't expect that after doing that, the entire Yu City would misunderstand him like this. No, he had thought of it. It was just that at that time, he didn't know how important the woman in front of him was to him. Ever since she left, he would always forget about mealtimes. She wouldn't ask him if he was tired or hungry. No one would ask someone to prepare delicious food in advance. That period of time that he didn't cherish when he was busy was really the most comfortable and beautiful days of his life. Second young master Cheng, to be honest, she already has a fiancé. Besides, because of Miss Tang, look at what your Cheng family has become. Why are you still so stubborn? There are so many women in the world. Why does it have to be her? That's right. For Miss Tang, are you really willing to have your family destroyed? Two of Cheng Zixiao's men walked up to him and whispered, "There's really no need for that. If you really want her to regret her choice, why don't you make a comeback? She'll regret it one day." There was nothing wrong with their persuasion. After all, the entire Fish City's impression of Tanghua was that she had an affair with someone else while she was still married. It was not appropriate for them to point out such a shameful thing in front of Cheng Zixiao. They weren't saying this for Cheng Zixiao's sake. The main reason was that Yin Qing's influence was too great, and their families were also affected. The only person who could face Yin Qing head-on was Cheng Zixiao. Only when Cheng Zixiao stood up and fought with Yin Qing would they have a chance. In the current situation, Yin Qing's family was the strongest, and the other families did not dare to provoke them. That's right. A woman like her really isn't worth it for you to give up on yourself. Cheng Zixiao pushed the two of them away and subconsciously looked at Tanghua's expression. Even though the two of them were whispering, he could still feel that Tanghua had heard them. Don't you have something to say? It seems that you don't. No, I do. Wait, I want to make everything clear here so that no one will misunderstand you again. Tanghua glanced behind Cheng Zixiao and walked away without hesitation. This was because someone had come from behind Cheng Zixiao and was about to hit him on the head with a stick. Mobile version website. Chapter 55:14. This person was none other than Tao Hutsai. One had to admit that Tao Hutsai was truly a loyal protector. I am Cheng Zixiao, the second young master of the Cheng family that you all know. Today, I am here to make one thing clear. I hope that after today, all misunderstandings can be cleared up. Tao Hutsai mercilessly hit Cheng Zixiao on the head with his stick. Cheng Zixiao immediately fainted. Everyone, I'm sorry. The second young master has been spouting nonsense recently. He really can't bear to part with Miss Tang. Tao Hutsai called for someone to support Cheng Zixiao. He looked at everyone worriedly. It's a pity that Miss Tang already has a fiancé. It only means that the two of them are not fated to be together. Everyone expressed their understanding. After all, it wasn't the first time that Cheng Zixiao had gone crazy. As for what he could say, everyone felt that it was most likely something to curry favor with Tanghua. After Tanghua left, Tao Hutsai brought his men back. Now, he had to think about how the second young master would punish him when he woke up. He had to stop this, even if the second young master would scold him or even chase him out. Because once that secret was revealed, the second young master would really have no chance to make a comeback. At least in this situation, everyone was still on the second young master's side. When Tangwa was mentioned, people would think that it was all because of her that the second young master had ended up like this. And with the current situation in Fish City, if the second young master wanted to make a comeback, the other families in Fish City would be happy to see it. They might even help. But now that the previous incident had been exposed, no one would help the second young master. No one would do something so foolish that it would ruin their reputation. Moreover, the Cheng family would become a family that everyone would avoid in the future. Then, the Cheng family would really have no chance to establish themselves in Fish City. The system was a little angry. What's the rush? He can stop it once or twice, but can he stop it forever? When he wakes up later, he'll probably hate Tao Hutsai to death. The more people stop him, the more he'll want to do it. When that happens, he'll be even crazier. To destroy him, he must first be driven mad. The system shuddered. After careful analysis, it seemed that this was indeed the case. The current Cheng Zixiao was on the verge of exploding. Half a day later, the first thing Cheng Zixiao did when he woke up was give Tao Hutsai a good scolding. Tao Hutsai gave various explanations and analyzed the current situation. Seeing that Cheng Zixiao was slowly calming down, a piece of news from the outside world came in, causing him to lose his composure. Another piece of news was that Tangwa and Yinqing would have their wedding in 2 months. Now, many clans had received invitations. No matter how calm Tao Hutsai was and how much he wanted Cheng Zixiao to make a comeback, there was nothing he could do. Because things had happened too quickly, one after another, Cheng Zixiao had no time to think at all. He could only be pushed away. That day, Cheng Zixiao ordered people to capture Tao Hutsai and tie him up in the woodshed. He even personally checked the ropes. Then, he led people to beat gongs and drums, attracting many people on the street. When everyone saw that it was Cheng Zixiao, they hurriedly gathered around him, thinking that he had gone crazy again. They didn't expect Cheng Zixiao's next words to be so shocking and unbelievable. Miss Tang has never betrayed me. From the beginning to the end, this was all directed and acted out by me. From the moment she married into the Cheng family to the moment she was sent to the wrong bridal chamber, it was all part of the plan. Mobile version website. You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.